Yo, yo, it's Honest Hustler, Tyler Gill. You are in the building with me tonight and me only. Look, I've come here to talk to you about a brand new football league. Well, not really brand new. It was around in 1983 and 1985, but it's the USFL. Now, you're probably wondering, what is the USFL? Maybe you've never even heard of it before this podcast. Well, it's coming to us April. I think April 16th or something like that is the date. Forgive me for not being exact on that. I do have a lot of information, but just realized I never grabbed the exact start date. Wah, wah, wah. Anyways, the cool thing about this, opposed to the XFL Football League or opposed to the AAF Football League that came out that both didn't finish their opening seasons, is that this league is owned by Fox. Fox Sports is literally the owner of this USFL. Now, right now, they are being sued from the former owners, claiming that they didn't do their paperwork right, and that they don't technically own the copyright. Needless to say, they're going to figure it out. Now, what does this mean for leagues like the XFL? Well, the XFL never really had a successful run anyways, but it won't be back at least until 2023. A lot of players that declared eligible for this USFL draft that they do have, that we'll get to in a second, actually played in the XFL. So, if anything, I think that a lot of these leagues understand there's a lot of money to be made. You know, there's a lot of money to be made in football leagues. There's a lot of money to be made in higher level competition. It's an entertainment. It's a sport. Cities want to see it. People want to see it. They crave it. So they're going to find a way to capitalize outside the NFL, right? I think people are waking up too. You've seen it in the boxing game with Jake Paul and Showtime, how he's been able to kind of get in and make more money by kind of doing things himself. I think you're going to start to see some things happen like that with a football league. Who knows if this is going to be the one? What this is it's 8 teams split into 2 divisions, a North and a South division. So it's kind of weird. They're all playing the inaugural season, which just fancy word for their first season in Birmingham, and they're playing at Legion Field and Protective Stadium. My guess is they'll try to tell us it's because of COVID. Really, I believe it's because it's also simplified for their travel and their cost of money. They could probably take buses everywhere, which I understand. I mean, let's just get a season and keep it together so we have something to look at and give people something to get excited about. But there's a team from Michigan, a team from Philly, Jersey, Pittsburgh, Birmingham, New Orleans, Houston, and Tampa. Postseason is going to be in Canton, Ohio. It's a 10-game season where basically you play everybody in the league and you play your division twice, I believe. The biggest coaches that I noticed, or that are notable coaches to kind of remember, was Kevin Sumlin, Todd Haley, who coached for the Steelers, head coach, Jeff Fisher, longtime coach for Oilers and Titans. And then when it comes to players, I mean, so the way that they do the draft is actually pretty interesting and unique. I think there was like 35 rounds, but the way they do it is each team has to draft the same position for each round that they're in. So I think the first round was quarterback, and then the next 3 rounds was defensive end or pass rusher. And the people that are in this draft are people who, I believe there's a pool that you had to declare for. It can't just be Joe Schmo off the side of the street. But as long as there was a declaration for this draft and you enter this pool, you make yourself available. So quarterbacks, I think there's a team called the Michigan Panthers. They had the first pick. Quarterbacks was first, and they went with Shea Patterson, which I think is a cool pick because Shea Patterson balled at Michigan, and he's going to be in Michigan again for this little pro league. And I'm sure that there's going to be people that are in whatever city back home rooting for him, considering that they won't actually be playing in Michigan. But as this league progresses, he'll be there. But my favorite one is Jordan Ta'amu. Jordan Ta'amu, I honestly didn't know much about him, but I'm a football head, and I started watching the XFL, and he played on the St. Louis team. And I remember kind of watching some film and stuff, kind of like I have before this, to kind of get familiar with guys and kind of see it. And Jordan Ta'amu kind of surprised me, and I thought he'd be good. And he ended up getting himself on the practice squad with the Kansas City Chiefs. Played behind Mahomes, and he got drafted by Tampa Bay here. He's the 2nd overall pick. I don't know anything about any of these teams or leagues. I do know that I like Jordan Teamu in this type of environment or setting. I just kind of look at them to be good or look at them to kind of be, cool. But there's some other exciting talents here. We still got the Aaron Rodgers of Division III. I read in one article. His name is Brian Scott. He threw for 10,000 yards and 77 touchdowns in just 33 games. That is absolutely absurd. I also read that he skipped out on college and went for the upgrade and went to the CFL. Was able to play there, and now he's here and trying to get a spark and play, and he maybe kind of followed a little bit of the check and not the immediate college route. That's what I researched. Hope I heard that right. Now, this is kind of cool, too. It was now about round 12, they did another quarterback pick, and I can tell you that watching the XFL, watching the AAF myself, having that second quarterback is actually very crucial. Because when you have the second quarterback, your first quarterback doesn't always pan out, and then it's the guy that was the backup that ends up being the baller that kind of shows up, right? Well, there's a kid named Case Cookus. If you're from Arizona, he's a lumberjack legend, man. This kid was a Walter Payton Man of the Year 2 years in a row. Throws the football around a lot. I think he threw like over 100 and something touchdowns while he was at NAU. Kid's a legend, and I think he had a stint with the Vikings and Broncos. When I say a legend, I'm talking about a Flagstaff legend, Arizona legend. But I just think Case Cookus being there, that's kind of cool for all things considered. But the USFL, it's interesting. They actually have had some big names come from them before. Doug Flutie, Jim Kelly, and Steve Young all played in the USFL back in the 80s prior to their NFL career. Now, you can Google this, you can look it up, it's true. Steve Young played for a team called the Los Angeles Express back when the league first opened, and he's actually still owed like $40 million from annuity, which is basically just a fancy word for a contract that was guaranteed payments over time. So I'm pretty sure that he's still, getting checks from the USFL, which is nuts. Good for you, Steve Young. But like I said, unlike the AAF or the XFL, this is backed by Fox, which means Fox literally owns it. There's always been a need for a feeder league in the NFL, so this is kind of cool that these guys are getting a chance to do that they're doing the draft in a different way. How are they all getting paid? It says player pay structure will be $45,000 for active rosters, $15,000 for squad players, and $600 weekly during training camp. Players will also win bonuses for $850 per win and $10,000 for winning the championship. The way I look at this is not a ton of money, right? But in the future, if they can find a way to build this league, the idea is instead of somebody wanting to go be a practice player guy on an NFL team, or maybe wanting to not even be in the 5th or 6th round, they want to come play for this league, or maybe kids will even start to bypass college and just go immediately to the USFL. I mean, that is, I think, the thought process here from the creators. I could see it happening. I think a lot of kids that have big names and big talents, if they have a draw, there's no telling what type of money can do it. And as of right now, they set a very bare minimum, and they're going from a very bare pool of people, but they just need to build consistency, prove that they can do it, develop fan bases, show people what's going on, and then I know for a fact they will get creative with this. The biggest thing, though, is it's a platform for people, right? Some of these guys politically don't get a chance to play. I mean, as much as it is about how good these guys are, I could tell you I'm blessed enough to have personal relationships with NFL players, and one conversation I had was told to me that it's not all about your talent. There's a lot of people that I passed up in my time that were actually better than me, but politically I had a better relationship, I had a better face card, I did things differently, and it allowed me to progress, and there's a lot of people who kind of fall off because of that aspect. So you're going to see a lot of talent here that, maybe fell off because they got shunned away because of a couple things they did wrong or got looked over because of. And I guarantee you some good talent will come out of here. And it's exciting for me that there's a big money unit that's actually backing this, because that's where the opportunity comes in for it to grow, right? And I think to kind of see what comes with it. Now, the cool thing I saw too, they're going to do things with rules too, I think, to Mike Pereira is actually the officiating head of officiating for this league, which I think is cool because he's very familiar with the NFL, obviously, as well as he's overseen those games for a course of his life. Excuse me. But that being said, they're going to do things in this league like they're going to be able to challenge calls. So if it's, no matter what in a game, if it comes from upstairs, pass interferences, late hits, blows to the head, blows to the quarterback, things like that, they're going to be reviewing that. Crazy thing is it's actually on the XFL News Hub that I found this, even though it's for the USFL, which makes me think that it's going to absolutely be a merger. But it says, here's a quote: "All I know is I'm going to be running officiating. I'm in on the operations of it each week, and I'm a part of it. That's the fun part. I'm a committee of one, rules committee, almost of one, just me. We're going to do things different. Like, you don't like that roughing call, the roughing the passer call that was made? Guess what? I'm in the replay center, and I don't either, so we're going to take it off. We're going to get rid of it. You called for a hit on a defensive player, and it's a big hit, but it's shoulder to chest, and it was called. We're going to take that off. So we're going to do some things a bit different. I think it'll be good for the game." So there's going to be a lot of different things they do here. It looks like they're going to do different pass interference things, stuff like that. But you just look to see some abstract stuff here that, for lack of better term, should help the game here. Now, my opinion on this is I love football. I love sports. I love betting. I love getting involved in learning the teams, learning their patterns, learning how they play. It's an absolute obsession for me. It's just who I am and why I'm here, right? Why you're here too. That being said, when it comes to it, I've heard they're going to have fantasy leagues. If there is, I'm going to keep researching and seeing for the next month what actually comes up with this. But if there really is a fantasy league, I'm definitely going to get one together. Find some degenerate friends. We're going to play, and we're going to talk about it weekly on here. And we're going to make it a thing. We're going to blow the content up with it. I mean, because why not? Now, I did look into it a little bit. It says Michigan and Tampa are the two best ranked teams. I think they're at a plus 325 and plus 400 to win the whole thing. You don't get much better than a plus 500 to pick a team. I remember when I watched the XFL, it was the same thing. And there's going to be a team that you're going to be able to tell in the first week is just going to have more chemistry and more rah-rah and more just gritty players. And I mean, think about it. There's 35 guys that got picked to these 35 rounds. So 35 guys out of this pool that got picked to these teams. Somebody has a GM or whatever it's considered in this league, a draft analyst or however, that picked a dope team. And I mean, they all got open picks at the same position, but somebody picked up gems and somebody didn't. And it's going to be interesting to see in that aspect too, because you're going to get a lot of coaches that are going to revive their career here, GMs, pieces like that, who aren't even really taking it for the money. They're taking it for the job and the position and the role and the opportunity to prove that, hey, I'm here and I can still do this job, or hey, I'm here and I can do this job better than somebody you already have. So I think this is exciting always. You look at it. Either way, make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. Thanks for tapping in with us. USFL updates coming soon. Talk to you soon.